Welcome to another enlightening hemp episode of HempAware Radio, everybody. Your premier source for everything hemp educational, hempformational. We're dedicated here at HempAware to sharing with you all of the ways that you can grow your hemp or cannabis business through strategic branding and marketing approaches. And we also talk about all the amazing benefits, uses, features that hemp has to offer for food, shelter, clothing, energy, plastics, medicine, fuel, and that big old long list that Popular Mechanics magazine mentioned way back in the 30s. So I'm your host, Tyler Hoff, here today, and I'm thrilled to have a special guest, Mika Stambaugh. She's one of the co-founders at Acannability, and she's actually an Emmy Award winner. She is a journalist, a dynamic entrepreneur, known for her creative strategies in executing media and communication campaigns, with a stellar career that includes roles such as spokesperson for the City of Chicago's Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection. Mika has led numerous high-profile policy communication strategies and successful marketing campaigns over the years. And her work at Accannability leverages her extensive experience in media, public relations, and event production to help cannabis businesses grow and thrive. So I'm excited to dive in today and share some of the techniques that she's deploying with her customers and clients. And you can learn more at acannability.com. We'll kind of dive a little bit deeper into the specifics here and what got her inspired to help create this amazing company. But before we dive in, I just want to mention that today's hemp episode is sponsored by HempAware.com. And we have a free website SEO audit going on right now. So if you're looking for help getting more traffic to your website and converting that traffic into leads and those leads into ongoing sales, we'd love to help you identify some of the things that you could do to improve your SEO. So go to HempAware.com and request that hemp SEO audit today. And for more information on what you can do to grow your hemp business, just visit HempAware.com or email us at support@HempAware.com. So without further ado, thank you so much, Mika. I really appreciate you being here. What's hemping?
I love all of the hemp innuendo. I think you've covered all of them.
Yeah, we have a hempsicon. If you go to HempAware.com/hempsicon, we've got a whole dictionary of our educational phrases and words. And I know that words have power. And so it's always fun to create a whole language around this world. And like you guys, accountability, that's such a cool term. Actually, I worked for a company way back in my late teens. It was kind of this philanthropic, altruistic organization called Anybody Can Make Change. And CAN was an acronym for consciousness, accountability, and neighborhood outreach. And so it was this approach to creating change in the world through the power of consciousness, accountability, and neighborhood outreach. So I got really excited to see your name and what you guys are doing to hold people accountable to make change in the world with hemp and cannabis.
We are super excited. So thank you for having me on today. I'm excited to talk about what we're doing.
Yeah. And I briefly touched on your backgrounds being in media and event production and working with different organizations over the years. But tell me kind of what led you up to wanting to create a cannabis business and specifically marketing. Like what was your introduction to hemp and cannabis and what got you to create this awesome company?
So my story goes back, I'm here in Chicago. The company is headquartered here as well. My two co-founders are here as well. So middle of the country. My personal background is I was at CBS 2 News Chicago. It was my first job out of college. I went to school at Columbia for journalism, and I just hustled and bustled, and I landed a job about a month after I graduated on the assignment desk. I worked my way up and was there for 10 years. And there really wasn't a job in the newsroom that I didn't do or didn't have a part of. So I knew, the inner workings of help a reporter tell a story, or help a photographer, the assignment desk gathering the research. So I took that knowledge with me over across Daly Plaza, if you know Chicago, and I went to City Hall and worked for Mayor Emanuel for just shy of 4 years and rolled out 4 emerging businesses. So rideshare, home share, plastic bag ban, and the minimum wage increase. And so I couldn't spend taxpayer dollars, obviously, and we had to get really creative in terms of educating the buckets of stakeholders. So residents, tourists, and business owners on these emerging businesses that were coming to Chicago, and they were here to stay. You know, we had a very robust transportation and hospitality industry, but how do we tell people all of a sudden, like, oh, you know, it's totally okay. A stranger will take you to your next destination. Just get in his car. Or don't stay in one of our beautiful hotels, first class hotels. You should rent a stranger's bedroom or their condo for the weekend. And so there was a lot of confusion. A lot of people didn't know what was safe, what wasn't safe, what the rules were, what the path to kind of navigating this uncharted territory. And so it was my job's team to come up with the marketing and advertising and free PR, because we couldn't spend money and I couldn't hire a marketing firm to get these stakeholders comfortable. And so fast forward, my co-founders have different experiences within the industry. And some of us have, went on licenses to teams to win licenses here in Illinois. Some have never tried it and went to go help a parent, and it was super confusing. There was no safe place to get education and information. And then the other co-founder has been in the industry for 10 years and very well educated and was just our glue. And so I brought the marketing and advertising. So I already had rolled out these emerging businesses. And when cannabis became legal in Illinois, I just kind of implemented that equation that I've already done. It's educating these stakeholders, right? But when you go online and you say, I broke my shoulder, what should I use? There's no safe space. It's really confusing. It's a black hole. And then you're getting like spammed, and it's confusing. So Acannability was really founded on the premise of being the go-to resource for consumers, as well as the educational pit stop, if you will. So you have questions, you have a safe place. We work with scientists and doctors and pharmacists that really have spent the better of their career in this space for one reason or another. And the business model is a cooperative advertising model. So similar to what Got Milk did for the dairy farmers, or Sunkist did for the citrus farmers, Associated Press for the media. I mean, there are dozens of proven successful corporate stories, and there wasn't one for cannabis or hemp. And so we really started this to fill those two voids. And the three of us, we're serial entrepreneurs. We have other companies. This is really something that we just believed in, because we personally had our own issue, or family members with issues where we couldn't go just get good information that we trusted. And then as the industry grew, and here in Chicago, and obviously several of the MSOs are located here, we know these people, and we're talking to them, and we're like, someone needs to jump in and help. And that's kind of what we're here to do. So it's been really exciting.
Awesome. Yeah. So it really sounds like you guys were inspired to create this company based on the lack of information, the confusion in the market.
Oh, yeah.
A couple of the other co-founders had experience in this industry. And so there was kind of just this perfect harmony of the team that you guys developed to create a business model that's based on this cooperative approach to do, like you said, the Got Milk campaign, or the Sunkist campaign for citrus farmers. But this is for hemp and cannabis based businesses to make it a lower barrier of entry for consumers, to provide that foundational education so that people already know what they're buying. They don't have to go through additional education to make a buying decision. It seems like this would make it easier for them to choose this as a solution versus other maybe pharmaceuticals or other pain reliever type stuff. Like this could be the number one option based on the education and advertising that you guys are doing.
Yeah. And that's truly it. We believe that starting Acannability would bolster the industry, which would in turn help the dispensaries. More people that feel comfortable and safe with product, they're going to show up. We don't promote a product and we're not plant touching. We are a registered advertising agency. We are the only cooperative for the industry, which we are extremely proud of. We have run 2 very successful advertising campaigns, digital campaigns with Media Gel, who has been amazing to us. Each campaign, the first one was Why Legal? And there were 6 different marketing messages within that. Everything from does CBD get you high, microdosing, using words and acronyms that people throw around, but the industry never taught people like 101 because I'm literally almost 3 years later still telling people that CBD doesn't get you high. And if I'm telling you that, that's a problem. So absolutely, it's interesting. I have a PR firm as well. That's, what I did when I left Mayor Emanuel's office is I started a PR firm for 8 years ago. And we work with cannabis companies. And so I hear what their struggles are, but I have the ability to, on a zero budget, get creative and come up with educational, kind of one-liners so that people can swallow that and they can marinate on it. And then they can come to our website and click on that link and get a slew of safe information that's real. And it's not written like a periodical, it's not written like a medical journal. It's written as you and I want to read things and learn things.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's for the layman. It's not for the jargon rich person that's got the PhD in cannabis. No. That's crucial and so foundational. It's essential to have these resources to be able to share and have your clients be able to share with their audience. So to dive a little bit deeper in terms of the services that you guys offer, in addition to like these ads that you're doing, these paid ads, what other free marketing, it may not be free to your clients, but on the back end, what sort of free tactics could you share with our listeners that they might be able to do? Or if they hire you to help them, what do some of those services look like?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway that I would love your listeners to walk away with is Acannability it's a cooperative. So, which means we're member driven. The members tell us what they need. They pay into a pool of money. 70 cents on every dollar is spent on advertising and 30 cents stays in house for operational costs. So, and memberships run from $500 to $5,000. It is not a break your bank model. It's truly to pool funds to go out there, buy advertising to educate consumers on whatever lack of information that is not out there and accessible. And so I encourage people to go to our website. There's so many free articles and resources. There's industry guides. There are industry reports. We just launched our first educational tool, which is the Acannability periodic table. And you can go there and it's interactive. You can click on a disease state. The top 51 molecules are broken down, terpenes, the precursor acids, and the cannabinoids. We truly want you to walk in and use the right science when you're understanding what you're going to put into your body. And it's interactive. You can click on it and it will pop up and it will explain to you in layman terms what that molecule is used for.
That's cool. Yeah, it's visually appealing, super interactive.
We all know the periodic table. So this was a tool that we thought would be recognizable and people would feel comfortable with it. And now we're making it interactive and going to the next level. We launched this at MJ in November. The industry was so receptive. And now we have doctors that are paying to use it. they're paying to use a resource or a research. With AI, there's just so many opportunities that this breakdown of the science of the plant is the best way to be educated. It isn't about getting high. It isn't about that for us. It's truly about educating the consumer. And when I hear people say stupid things, I immediately know that they're not educated. And they might not want to be, but if you're going to have a conversation about something, you need to know a little bit about it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Absolutely.
but back to some of the tools. So one of the things that we do is we lean on the science and the research and the education. So if somebody has testimonials, people love to hear success stories. People love to hear, literally my favorite molecule is the THCV, which is an appetite suppressant. And there's really only one product in Illinois that I can find most of the time. And I have friends that live in other states that are begging me for it because they're not in other states. And it's like, why is it? I mean, it's frustrating, but as long as you have access to go get it and learn about it, people know that it's out there.
Is THCV a psychoactive cannabinoid?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's how does it differ from THC or THCA?
So I don't know because I am not the pharmacist that worked on this, but THCV, what it does is it literally is a proven appetite suppressant. So if you're taking THCV and you're looking for some sort of medicinal purpose, find a product that has THCV in it so that you have to worry about the munchies on top of it.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Concern, right? I mean, I'm a 42-year-old female. That's a concern of mine.
So to take a step back for a moment and address something you mentioned, you've talked to all sorts of hemp and cannabis businesses, and you get to hear their problems. You get to hear what they're struggling with to grow their business, get new clients, get their existing clients to buy more from them. What would you say are some of the biggest challenges, the themes that have shown up talking to all these different businesses? And how have you guys helped kind of overcome some of those challenges?
So I would say the biggest impact we have made is because we aren't a registered cannabis company, we are an advertising agency. We have the ability to push the envelope and tell success stories. So we can take success stories from a Curaleaf, if you will. We partnered with them about 6 months ago, and they are running all of our advertising marketing on their PSA channels right now. And it's been amazing because what we are marketing, they're looking at the customer and the ROI. But we come in and say, but hey, you can't forget about this other group of cannabis curious people or people that are like, okay, now it's legal in my state. What do I do? You can't forget them just because they weren't on the bandwagon 12 years ago. So we're coming back. We're letting the industry continue to move forward. And we are starting from the beginning to really educate and fill in those holes for people. And then all that information is free on our website. We are not charging for that. I mean, we want to be, the good housekeeping seal of approval, go-to resource. You can see our seal of approval on several products, and we want it to become like the Sunkist label. When you see that Sunkist label, you're like, this is the good orange, right? And so when you see that Acannability seal, you're going to say, this is a safe product. Because, there's also so many things out there, and it's different for hemp industries, right? I mean, the hemp industry, we believe, is so going to be so much bigger than the cannabis industry once everything is figured out on the federal level. And it's so awesome to learn the farm bill and to learn what is happening. I mean, the uses, 50,000 uses for hemp and growing. The fact that more people aren't paying attention to that is scary, but they will when it becomes important in their world.
So you feel like one of the biggest challenges, also known as an opportunity, is this lack of information, lack of education. And rather than being at the forefront like of the movement and the latest greatest whiz bang features and products on the market, you're kind of going back to the beginning, back to the basics to help the new guy that's just trying to get into this and wasn't there on the bandwagon when it all started, to give them the resources and information so that they can have consumer confidence, allow their customers to have that consumer confidence.
Yeah. And I get it. The product game is all about the ROI. How do dispensaries know that where people are coming in from? How does a Cresco know where the people are hearing about their locations or what brands they have, right? It's all about ROI. That isn't our end game, right? We are here to truly be the voice of reason for people that just need to navigate this uncharted territory. Just like Airbnb and Uber and Lyft was foreign to people 15 years ago, people would say, my grandparents would have never done it. My parents would have never done it. Now they do. And it just, all it takes is to educate people, to get them comfortable with what's here to stay, and they can acclimate at their own pace. Accannability is telling you, oh, you're sick, you have a headache, you should go to the dispensary. We're saying, here are your options. This is what has been medically proven to treat these disease states. You have tons of options, right? It's also it's been a really fun project because coming from the marketing and advertising world and PR world, I'm sure a lot of your listeners have faced this challenge, but it's the whole dare, reversing the dare. I mean, you're brain on drugs, you're a loser, you're fried, you're not smart. Oh no, it's okay. You can just go to the corner store and get it. And so getting people to feel comfortable at different levels of life and ages has been really exciting. And I think the best way that we have been successful in the most successful way is education. It's just getting back to the science and saying, look, this is a plant. Above ground is intoxicating. Below ground is not intoxicating. This is the hemp, right? I mean, because people don't even know that hemp is a part of cannabis. So talking about getting back to the basics.
Or they think that hemp is cannabis in the way that it's marijuana. There's still, I call it the hempnosis. We've been hypnotized with the whole reefer madness and dare programs, and we need to de-hypnotize everybody to get into the truth. Understand the distinctions.
And a lot of it is having the more states and the federal government wrap their arms around it, but it's also, I mean, I converted my parents, which was a milestone. They were like, what are you doing? You're in cannabis now? Like, wait, they live in a small town in Michigan. Like, that was not what they wanted to hear from their daughter. And now, I mean, they love it. They're so proud. They know products. They know things that help them. There's a lot. And I think it just takes baby steps. And however people need to feel comfortable and confident and make that decision, then we did something good.
Absolutely. So in terms of moving forward, because obviously this industry has become very saturated, the prices have plummeted, so the profit margins are not there like they used to be. All of the regulatory frameworks that you have to jump through to become a legal seller, whether it's a dispensary and you're selling THC products or a CBD company with an online shop. What do you feel like are some of the biggest opportunities on the horizon for hemp and cannabis businesses, like in the next, say, 2 to 3 years that someone could focus on and differentiate themselves to really play in this market?
Well, I mean, I think there's been a lot of really unfair taxes and rules that have limited the growth. I think 280E is probably the biggest thing that we're facing right now for cannabis. And the fact that we're hoping as a marketing and advertising agency that people will see that they will have a new set of allocated budgets to spend towards educating and advertising. And, I think that, It's like you bend a straw over and over and over again for 15 years. At some point, that straw is going to always have that crease in there. But if we can stop that bending and that breaking down of that straw, which is like, I think the industry is being so broken down. If we can halt that and alleviate some of these really terrible taxes and really heinous rules, I think it would be immediate relief. I don't talk to as many of the industry people that some of my co-founders do, but I do think that my clients that we do PR for, they are beat down and they are ready for a change. And they have been in this game since the beginning in Colorado. And I think that it's completely unfair that states can vary on, rules. I mean, sometimes we can't even put like a plant on a billboard or an advertising. I'm just not a fan of rules in general. I prefer less rules in life. But I think that once this federal regulation kind of just like wraps its arm around the industry and they alleviate some of this, I mean, I think it's going to feel an immediate relief. And I think starting with 280E is the first.
So do you think people should gear up for this legalization and open up more dispensaries or create specific types of brands or new types of products? Do you feel like there's an opportunity or different niches that are wide open at this point or that somebody should focus on?
I think that I don't know their business model. I don't know everyone's model. I don't know if more dispensaries is the answer. I don't know if more products is the answer. I think that just reducing the rules on them to operate. And I think it's kind of common sense. I mean, you go to some places and there are 20 dispensaries in a town, and then you drive for 100 miles and there's nothing.
Yeah.
So I think that there has to become some sort of better way of figuring that out. I don't know if it's like where licenses are, how many are given. Here in Illinois, there's, people have until July or they're going to start pulling licenses. So the social equity thing was rolled out really wrong. I think the taxes, Illinois has like the highest taxes. I mean, of course we do. So you go to a dispensary to buy, you're going to pay 10 times as much as you would on the illicit market, which we don't want people to go do. But how do you justify not doing that?
Well, what do you think needs to happen to pull back these regulations and all these rules? Do you think it's possible to pull the reins back, or is it like that government control just keeps getting tighter and narrower and harder to navigate? Or do you feel like there's a chance through political education or sharing with our representatives certain information, or what do you think has to happen to help release those reins of control?
Well, first of all, we need to get on the same page. It needs to be federally regulated, and the state to state stuff needs to stop. I think it's just confusing. I mean, we did a campaign on traveling and gifting cannabis about 6 months ago, and people had so many questions. I mean, people were going state to state and traveling with it, via the TSA, and it creates so much work for people that don't need to even deal with it if it was just federally regulated, right? They have these boxes at the airport, dispose of your cannabis here safely before you go through TSA, and it's like,
wow,
yeah. Have you seen that?
No.
Yeah, so we have them here in Chicago. I mean, I've seen them in other states, but so if you're traveling to a state that it's not legal, they're like, just dump it. But also they're saying dump it because going through TSA is illegal.
Because you're going through state lines.
Going through a federal agency.
Right.
So to me, I'm like, just get on the same page so we can eliminate that extra work for that border patrol person that really should be focused on something else.
Absolutely.
There's simple fixes that, I personally see, but, as a dispensary owner or as a grower or, as a manufacturer or somebody else that's in an ancillary position in the industry, they obviously have a ton of different other plans and suggestions. For me, from an accountability standpoint, I think it's just important for us to be able to educate the people. So when they do go to these airports, or they do go to these locations, or they do want to gift it, that they know how to safely do it and not get in trouble. And that's really where we're focused.
Awesome. That makes sense. So to kind of change the topic more like to the marketing side of things, what you guys are finding that's working, would you say there's specific channels or types of media that are getting the best results? And I know you guys are not super focused on ROI and like showing increased traffic and things like that. You're more of a broad marketing approach, right? But I'm sure you get to kind of observe what your clients are doing. Like if they run a certain campaign on LinkedIn versus Instagram versus Facebook versus Twitter, or do you find like there's certain channels that are doing better in terms of where people are hanging out and all that?
For sure. So I would say, personally speaking, from Acannability, so we do old school PR, we do press releases, we do social media, we have our newsletter, we have our website. We're constantly trying to promote the ads that we've already created. We see, I mean, what's really fun is we haven't spent a ton of money on ads. Like the first campaign, Why Legal, we spent about 12 grand. We got about 1.5 million impressions, which was phenomenal. We spent 15 grand in our second campaign, which was TLC with your THC, and getting people to feel a little more comfortable with the operational use of it, if you will, the gifting, the travel, so on, and microdosing. And so we like to regurgitate those marketing campaigns because they've already been created. They're already successful. And like I said, we just want to keep educating. So we just keep going back to like the same 12 messages that we have right now. Third campaign is going to be focused probably towards the DARE campaign around the descheduling. So kind of figuring out a safe space within that. But we have tremendous success with press releases. We had almost 500 media outlets pick up our last press release. Wide, mainstream, industry, I mean, you name it, medical journals. I mean, it was awesome. So to me, that shows they're hungry for content.
Do you guys create your own press releases and then send them out to agencies that syndicate them, or just send it to Associated Press, or how does that look?
Yeah, so I own a PR firm, so my team does all of the press for Acannability. And anytime we have news, we send a press release out on PR Newswire. And our first one got like 100 pickups. Our second one got like 200. Our third one got 300. And then we almost had 500.
That's awesome.
So it's exciting, you know, and they're on legit news channels and they're covering what we're talking about. And the messaging is simple, like a sixth grader could get it.
Do you have like a certain framework that you follow that you would recommend to other hemp companies if they wanted to create their own press release and send it out? Is there like a certain format or framework or angle?
It's headline in 400 words. Tell your story in 400 words. That's my key to everybody. If you can't tell your story in 400 words, then you need to hone in on your story. And the marketing messages are super short. I encourage people to go to our website and look at the campaigns. It's literally like CBD is non-intoxicating. Boom. Done. They click on it and they can go find tons of information on our website about that, of articles that we've had written for our specific content. Just tight and short. And you want people to remember stuff. And, you know, the other tip that I would say is when you are writing a press release, keep it about one pitch, the one thing you want them to know about you or your company. Not like we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this, and we're doing this, and we're so great. Like they will get confused. One point, tell them why that's the point that they need to share with their audience. And if it's less than 400 words, great. Don't make it 400 words. But put it to the point.
So one angle, one topic, choose a powerful headline, and there's dozens of free resources online for how to write a hook, like how to create a hook that really pulls people in. So yeah, getting the headline is like, I've heard 80% of the hard work.
Yeah.
Like if you can get that headline and pull them in and get them intrigued and engaged, then you've got them. They're going to take a look at the rest of what you have to read or offer, whatever your story is.
Yeah. A lot of times we write the headline after we write the pitch because you're like, what's the headline?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So what advice do you have for up and coming companies, maybe someone that just started their hemp or cannabis business, or they're thinking about starting one? Do you have a plan or a framework that you recommend that they follow? Like let's say they're on a pretty tight budget. They don't have tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands to invest in their marketing strategy. Do you recommend a particular sequence? Like here's the first thing you should start with, here's the second thing you should focus on, and maybe like a third or fourth that they should focus on when launching a new company as far as marketing?
I think one pagers are really powerful. Telling your story and by numbers is memorable to people. What year you started, how many employees, what do you offer, how many products. People remember stuff like that, and then growing that and updating that is kind of fun to watch, and it shows evolution of a company. But one pagers are amazing. I always encourage people when they either work with us or they don't. I say, go to your computer, open up a clean Word doc, and just type as if you're calling your best friend or your mom or your uncle or your aunt, and you're telling them about your company. Be like, oh my God, girl, you have to hear this. And don't worry about grammar or punctuation or anything. Just tell your story. And then go back to the top and filter through it and clean it up as you want to expand or shorten. And when you do that, step away, come back and do it. Do that a couple times. That exercise is so good for revealing your true story.
Cool. That makes sense. So just free flow. If you're like super excited, you're telling a family member, this is what I just started this. I'm so excited to share it with you, and just let it flow. Don't worry about punctuation or grammar or any of that stuff. Just get your thoughts out and then just keep refining that.
And then you'll identify areas you can like bullet point. And then that becomes a separate pitch, if you will, or thing to focus on, right? Data points, and you're able to do really quickly, and then go into the narrative. And then you also you can reveal even your own quotes out of that. Like, oh, that was a great, I started this because yada, 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 boom. And then you start to like develop this whole little press kit, if you will. You have your narrative, you have bullet points, you have a quote, and then you have something to work with. And it was free. It was your own time.
And then you can have these assets to pull from anytime you're creating new content, like social posts, an email campaign, or if you're doing a sales letter, anything, you'll be able to kind of pull from these assets and plug them in as you're creating.
Yes, exactly.
And on the one pager kind of concept, this is also a great book that our listeners, and for those that are just listening, it's the One Page Marketing Plan by Alan Dibb. And it gives a really great framework for the basic fundamentals of what you need to create a powerful marketing strategy. But I really appreciate you coming on to HempAware Radio and sharing what you guys are all about with Acannability. Where else can our listeners find you guys? Where do you hang out on the socials, and how can they get a hold of you to learn more about what you're up to and maybe hire you to help them get the message out there and with education and the whole cooperative approach?
Yeah, I'd love to hear from everybody. And work with everybody. We have truly grown immensely just from word of mouth. So I'm really grateful that you invited us on today. So Accannability is www.acannability.com. We are on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, or Threads, Facebook and Instagram. We are super interactive. Share videos with us. If you want to email info@acannability.com, I will get all of your suggestions and stories and hiccups. If I can help you work through a process or a problem, I'm happy to do so. Just say that you heard about me from Tyler.
Right on. Well, so one other thing I just wanted to clarify too that people may have questions about is, let's say somebody comes to you and they have a non-cannabinoid related hemp company, like a clothing company or a hemp food company. Do you feel like the assets and services and solutions that you provide would help a business like this, or is it more on the cannabinoid side of things?
No, we actually work with our first plant touching member was a hemp farm here in Illinois. We work with several hemp farms. It's the same thing. It's the mindset of taking resources, financial resources, pooling them, and going out and sharing what the members trying to get across. So if a hemp member is trying to get across a certain message, we will do that, and we will focus it towards the location that they're and demographic that they're choosing to reach. So
Awesome.
everything is customizable.
Cool. So anybody that has a hemp or cannabis business, no matter what niche you're in, could benefit from what you guys have to offer.
100%.
Awesome. Well, as a parting question, it's more on the philosophical side of things. If you were standing on a world stage and you literally speaking to every human being on the planet, and you could share in 30 seconds one message with them that you would want them to know about this plant, what would it be?
Ooh, I think my personal story. I broke my shoulder in a really bad car accident. And I remember the doctor handing me 4 bottles of opioids. And I said to him and myself, this is when I'm going to become addicted to pills. And I was like, I'm not taking them. And I went and I called a really good friend of mine, and he gave me a CBD company. And I treated my broken shoulder with a CBD orally and topically for 4 months. And it was very difficult to find information. And I think that you have to be your own advocate, and you have to go out there and find the education and resources to get what you're looking for. And this plant has helped so many people. Police officers walk, police officers get through, war veterans get through PTSD, broken shoulders, glaucoma. I mean, it's truly healing and powerful. And I think people just need to learn, and then they can make their own decision.
Amen. So you heard it, everyone. Get hemp-educated. It's important. Well, thank you so much again, Mika, for being on HempAware Radio. And thanks everyone for tuning into another hemp episode. This is your hemp-entrepreneurial host, Tyler Hemp, here to empower your hemposphere. And we'll catch you on the next hemp episode. Peace out, everyone.
Bye.